Going on, y'all? All right, so today's topic is going to be about settling and compromising. Two very detrimental words that I don't even like to have in my vocabulary as I'm going through my journey trying to grow and trying to get better, trying to become a better man, a better person, a better soul. Those two items, I can't have those in my vocabulary. And I don't want anyone else to have those in their vocabulary. Those of you that are trying to grow, those of you that are trying to do something different with your life, those two items you can't keep. And that applies to everything. I'm talking finances, I'm talking career, I'm talking relationships, I'm talking with yourself. You need to have some accountability. You can't just sit up here and say like, I want this certain thing for my life and life gives me this. And it kind of looks like what I want, but it's not what you want. It's in the idea, it's in the ballpark of what you want, but it's not what you want. So then why are you accepting it? Like, if it's not what you want, why are you accepting it? Generally, the reason as to why we accept these things, settling and compromising with these things that we want in our life is because life happens. I have a dream to do this, but then life is doing this. And instead of figuring out a way to still get what you want and figure this whole life thing out, one outweighs the other. And that's generally when you have the people who, that's who ends up becoming part of that elite 1%. Those individuals who aren't willing to settle. It's not that they do anything any different. It's not that they have a superpower. It's not that they understand anything a little bit better. They just understand that they don't want this life. They understand, like, that's why you have all these people who have like those stories of growing up in the hood and then they make, whatever they're doing with their life now. It's because when they were in the hood, they were like, yo, I don't want to do this no more. Like, I've been in the hood for X amount of years. I don't want to do this no more. I'm going to do something else. So then they go out and do something else. Not saying that it's always the right thing, but they always find a way to get out of that current situation. And when you have that mindset of settling or compromising, it trickles from one component in your life to the next. That's why I'm saying for finances, for a career, for relationship, whatever it is, you can't settle and you can't compromise. The literal definition of settling is when two individuals can't agree on something or two groups can't agree on something. And in order for them to agree, they just have to agree to disagree. They settle on the fact that, okay, well, we're not going to agree on this, but here's how I stand. Here's how you stand. Let's just settle. Compromising is the same thing. I don't want this, but you're giving me this. It's a close second. I'll compromise and make it work. Compromising and settling should not be two things that you have in your life if you want to grow. And if anybody in your life doesn't understand that you're not willing to settle, or you're not willing to compromise, they can leave too because they're part of the problem if that's the case. You got to understand when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to become a better person, when you're trying to evolve, those two ideas, complacency, compromising and settling, those two items, but complacency falls in that line of idea, that line of ideology. It doesn't make any sense to settle. It doesn't make any sense to sell yourself short because what happens is you do it once, you'll find a way to do it again and again and again and again. And I like making these videos because it gives me a chance to kind of talk about the things that I have on my mind that I'm actually going through. I used to be a settler. I used to be a compromiser. I used to be somebody who just looks at it and go, well, it's cool. That's not helping me. That's not helping nobody. I always think about like the greats, Muhammad Ali, he declared that he was the greatest. No one came up with a rubric. No one came up with a statistic as to what the greatest all-time boxer is at that time. But he walked around and said it. He didn't go around saying, I'm mad at I. Muhammad Ali didn't win every fight. But even on the ones that he lost, he didn't settle for the loss of being a loser. He decided, all right, I lost, but what's the lesson I can learn from this so that this doesn't happen again? First step for him was believing that he can do it. He was going up against some people who outclassed him in terms of like weight class and stuff like that. And he was still able to beat them. Still able to beat them. And yes, it has to do with belief and things like that. But the first thing is you don't want to accept simplicity, mediocrity. You don't need to. Many of us get bogged down and understand like, oh, it is what it is. And you get beat up and you don't want to keep pushing. But the only other option, if not pushing, is to fail. So if you're not going to keep pushing, so you're just going to sit there and not do anything, you're not going to grow, you're not going to try to get better, you're not going to try to do anything different, you owe it to yourself to try something different. If it's not working out this way, try something new. But settling and compromising are not two things that you can do. You can't do those two things together because when you settle and when you compromise, you're eliminating the process of growing. Because what you're telling yourself is you're cool with the situation. It's like being an alcoholic saying that, I got a problem. But instead of you doing anything about it, you're settling on the fact that you have a problem and you're not going to change it. You're just going to keep drinking and monitoring, or whatever the case may be, or monitoring, we'll put air quotes up for that. But at the same time, you know that you have something going on. You know that you have a problem, but you don't want to change it. You're settling or compromising with the fact that, well, I have a problem and I do want to get better. Maybe I just don't drink so much. Cool, now I won't have so much of a problem. No, you still do. You are just accepting the fact that maybe you're not going to drink as much as before, but you haven't done anything to change that fact. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go on to do great things, if you want to be better than what you are now, but you're accepting the fact that, you know, maybe your ego is telling you you're not good enough, or society has told you you're not good enough, and you're saying, well, maybe I'm not, and you're settling for that. You don't agree with it all the way, but you're settling for that. You don't agree with it all the way, but you're compromising for that. And when you do those things, the only person you're letting down is yourself. So you compromise and you settle all you want, and you won't get that life that you know you deserve. But when you tell settling and compromising to shut up for a second, you tell that ego, hey, mind your business, bro. I'm doing work right now. You work and you do that work, but you don't sit there and get complacent. Don't get lazy. Don't let those traits come up because you owe it to yourself to go out there and be great. So you go out there and you be great. You tell those two items leave you alone, and you don't even keep those in your vocabulary. If you feel like that, you get those out of your vocabulary. You pray, you meditate, you do what you need to do, but you don't let that stop you. You go out here and you be great. You know that you're destined for greatness. You have a gift. We all have a purpose for being here. What's yours? Get out of your own way. Find what is going to make you happy and go for it. Don't settle. Don't compromise. Go for what you want.